Hi, how you doing? I'm Brian Wilson over at Catalyst Physical Therapy and Wellness. And last week I was out delivering a speech to some runners that needed some ideas on what to do right before the run or right after the run. After a nice heated debate about dynamic versus static stretching, I got into some ideas for them in the sense of it really depends upon what you're good at doing. If you have problems with coordination and difficulty trying to move, then you want to stick more into that static style of stretching. But if you have the ability to move well and coordinate things and find the right areas when you're stretching, then dynamic might be your choice. So today what I'm going to do is just have you run through a few areas of the body and some common ones that I would warm up with. And I'll run you through those exercises right now. For starters, we're going to go into the hip flexor. So I'll kind of turn to my side so you can see what I'm doing. The first key to getting into the hip flexor is to be able to draw your pelvis back, and that'll engage the front part of this hip. If you feel this in the back of your leg here, you need to kind of lift that heel up off the ground to try to get a better pull into the front of your hip. Once you've gotten into that position, you can kind of pulse in and out of it to make sure you're getting a tension force across the front of your hip here. And then you're going to go in and out of that a few times. Then what you can do is you can add in a little reach across your body and across the other way. Turning that pelvis, turning those hips a little bit, but still keeping the force across the front of the hip. You can also go into this and start to shift your hips side to side, which I'll kind of turn towards the camera to show you that visual of that as well. So kind of just shifting the hips side to side. I still feel the pressure here in the front of the hip. That would be a good one for your hip flexor. You can do that on both sides. The other one that I would work into would be an IT band stretch. So that's going to go run down the leg right through here to your knee from your outer hip. And what I'll do is generally cross over one leg over the other, draw in the pelvis, same direction as you did with the hip flexor, tucking that back, angling your arm over your side, getting a pull down the side of the leg right here. You're not going to feel it all the way down the leg typically, you'll get it more in the outside of the hip. You can angle this arm straight to your side, making sure you get a little stretch there to the outside. You can angle it forward a little bit to hit a little different area of the IT, and you can angle it backward to pull into this muscle right in the front of the hip. That gets tight a lot of times. All right, same thing on the opposite side. Then we'd go into a hamstring stretch. Typically, toes up, reaching straight down. Everybody will kind of stretch that way. That looks pretty normal, but you're trying to get that fulcrum from the pelvis, that rolling forward and reaching down towards your toes. Then I like to have my athletes reach inside to get those inner fibers, as well as outside. Sometimes even just sitting into it and then shifting the hips side to side. Again, you want to make your stretches a little bit more reflective of the side-to-side nature of the muscle systems and the rotational nature of the muscle systems, so you're not just sticking and going linear with all your stretches. The next thing that I would do would be take a seat on the chair. Then you're going to do a little crossover, a figure 4 in the leg, pressing down on the knee, trying to get the out rotators in your hip to get a little bit of a stretch. You can press more force into it there on the knee if you don't feel it. If you still don't feel it in that position, you can actually put your hands here on your pelvis and roll it forward more, get that chest closer to the knee until you really bring all those fibers into a stretch, getting that good pull to the outer hip. Then you'll work your chest inside and outside. Inside, outside. Kind of getting those fibers really nice and warmed up and loose. Then I like to take all of my athletes through a little bit of a spinal rotational movement. So I bring my arms up here and I would turn my chest to the right, turn my chest to the left, and just kind of wringing out the spine. Rotation left, rotation right, side bend right, side bend left, and even some forward bending and flexing. Forward bending and flexing. Forward bending, flexing. Having done all those, final thing I'd probably end with is a calf stretch, which would usually be done if you're outside, just like so. Pushing this back heel down towards the floor, sitting the hips nice and high, resting your other leg on the back of the heel. Again, shifting your hips side to side, and you can even rotate. In, out, trying to get that calf to really mobilize in all 3 dimensions. All right, that's what we talked about last week. Hope those help.